Hey there guys, my name is Andrew Toronto and thank you so much for joining me on another TRXC video. So today was a pretty big day. We saw a lot of growth in terms of the stock price and in terms of the value of the company. Now, obviously, we wanted to see a little bit more, but the market had a little bit of a pullback, and I don't think it really did as well as maybe a lot of us were hoping. So, a little upsetting on that, but I think that there is still a lot of momentum gained, and I think this is definitely something that we should be really kind of excited about. Ultimately, what we're looking at is we're looking at the FDA clearance, which is, really, really big. So right here, you can kind of look and see it on Seeking Alpha. One of my favorite sites, by the way, Asensus Surgical announces FDA clearance for the Senhance surgical system. Just to kind of go into that, they decently higher. I think it hit about 28%, like I said, right here, 28%. And then I think it went about like 30%. And then they kind of just went all the way down to about 15%. And it's obviously upsetting, guys. I mean, we were expecting something crazy, like 100% gain. I mean, when they got the FDA approval back in May, we saw something insane. And I think that we will continue to see growth. I do think that this is going to kind of be a momentum pusher. However, I also think that there are issues with bond yields, and there's issues in the market right now that are causing this stock to kind of be a victim of just general market sell-offs and people kind of just generally not allowing gains to be as great as they should be. So unfortunately, we only kind of ended up seeing, I mean, if you count in after hours, maybe about 12 to 13% of growth today, which, is definitely not something that makes any sense when you get something as big as an FDA approval, which is really big. So now right here, this was pretty big. Let's see here. Including previous indications granted, the Senhance surgical system can now be utilized in over 2.7 million general surgical procedures performed in the U.S. annually. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And this is another quote right here. The expansion into general surgery for the Senhance system is a major milestone for the growth and clinical applicability of our technology. So you got to remember, when you're FDA approved, that means I can use this in a wider range of options, which gives so much more value to the actual system. This is huge in terms of getting into hospitals and having the hospitals use it. I think that's a really, really big step. And obviously, the stock price didn't show as much as we wanted it to show, which was very upsetting to myself because I was expecting this to do a lot better off of the FDA. However, I also think that we have a lot of momentum now being built up into earnings and into next week conference. So, we still got a long way to go, and we still have a lot of things to be patient for, and we still have a lot of things to wait for. But that's the unfortunate part of being in a market, is that so many ETFs and so many other outside factors are going to artificially impact the stock. And I mean, there were days when this thing shot up for no reason whatsoever. I think when it went up $7, that was off of no news at all. That was just people trying to get on the TRX train. And unfortunately, when the market started to slide, a lot of those people kind of were like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't the time. And I think now we might start seeing improvement if we start seeing market improvement. And I think that's really going to be up to the Senate in terms of passing stimulus checks. And it could also be a matter of, just various other factors and the strength of, just the US dollar in general. So we basically had, like the FDA clearance, which we know is a really big deal. But we can kind of look at the charts here and we can see kind of where we're kind of looking at. And I think we're starting to see, a little bit of an upward trend. We're starting to see that nice little dip, that little cup, I think that's really, really fantastic. It's obviously something that upsets me to see that it didn't skyrocket. However, I'm still very optimistic about this company and its ability to continue to grow. Do I see pullbacks? I might see a pullback, and I might understand a pullback given that the market trends in the way the market's trending. I think that people are irrationally afraid, and I think that's causing money to exit the market. And I think it's obviously reminiscent of last year's March when, the market crashed. So I think it's unfortunate that we got the FDA news now instead of earlier this or earlier in February, or just maybe later, you know, when maybe in April or May. However, for those of you who aren't necessarily holding and maybe be looking for a good position to buy, this is really good for you because you're still, you know, the stock price is staying low and it's staying at a good level for you to possibly take advantage of a company that is doing extremely well and adding a ton of value. Just to kind of look at the one-day chart, just so you see what we're talking about here. You know, it was one of those things where, right, you know, what was it? Let's just zoom all the way out here. So we can see, you know, where it peaked out at. You know, it was all the way up to, I think, what was it? What was this? This was 8 a.m. We were trading very high at about $5.38 pre-market. And then once pre-market hit, we saw, or once the market hit, we saw a little bit of a crash down and kind of floated around this kind of $5 range for a little bit. And then all of a sudden we saw this sharp tumble down during like the afternoon hours, and then it kind of just sort of stabilized a little bit. And you know, it's a little upsetting to see this type of stuff happen, especially when we know that such a big thing occurred, and you know, the value of their system just kind of exploded today. So you know, it's another reminiscent fact that value of a company is never really correlated properly with the value of its stock. And I think today is a really good, you know, representation of that, you know, you can have a company that's doing extremely well, getting, you know, in hospitals all over the world, doing all of these great things, and still the stock price is still kind of inning along and not really sure what it wants to do. So it's also unfortunate the market conditions aren't favorable. But you know, you can't only blame that just because there's tons of companies that have done tons of smaller things and gotten up way higher in recent news. So it could be in part due to its kind of already meteoric rise, right? So, you know, it was what, you know, less than $1, you know, a few months ago. So I think that people are still kind of like, you know, I mean, it was just $1, you know. I think that there's going to be a lot of really good stuff coming out with this earnings report, and I think that's going to lead to an improved price target, because we could still see, even with all of this news, we still have a price target of about $1, $1.40 and 45 cents. And you know, but what we are seeing right here with the position cost distribution is we are seeing a little bit less in the 90% cost range and a little bit less in the 70% cost range. And we're also seeing another floor kind of start to get built right around that $4 mark or that $4.50 mark. And I think that's really important, that we are seeing that floor now, and we are starting to see kind of like a more healthy growth of the stock. And I think that's okay. I think a healthy growth is better than no growth. And I think that it's definitely something that I'm excited about. I'm excited to see what the company does in terms of kind of just leading with this momentum into earnings and seeing how well they do. Like I said, we do have a conference next week, which I'm very excited about. It's the AC Wainwright BioLife Conference, I believe, something like that. And we already know AC Wainwright is a heavy investor in TRXC. We know that Vanguard added a whole bunch of shares just the other day. So there's a lot of movement and price manipulation going on. So I think if you're a retail investor, you're a small time investor, you know, less than 100K in this company, you know, my best advice would be to kind of just hold steady and average down, because at this point there's so much manipulation. You kind of have to just work with the tides, know what you bought, know what you have, and kind of go forward with that instead of being, you know, panicky or uncertain. And I think that's kind of how I'm viewing it, and how I want to go forward with this stock is I want to say, or with this company is I want to say, like, listen, I know so much about this company. I know how great of a company it is, and I know where I know it should be, which is $20, at least by the end of the year. I just have to wait. I just have to be patient and let it get there, and not get too far ahead of myself. And I think that we will see a continued growth in the beginning of March and into the middle of March. And I think then we might see a bit of a decline towards the end of March, just because that's been the trend, that it has gone up in the beginning of the month and down towards the end. And then I think that that trend is most likely going to repeat itself for a little bit now. So I think we do have some green days ahead of us. So I am excited, and this was really, really big news. Just in general, in terms of the revenue potential has just skyrocketed. So, you know, you should be very excited that the value of the company went up, even if the stock didn't necessarily represent it as well as we wanted to in this market. You should know, and this is the hard part, is you just have to kind of know as an investor that what you just bought or what you own is that much more valuable, even if the market itself hasn't represented that just yet. So you kind of have to be patient, and you have to wait for the price to get where it should be. And I don't know how long that's going to take. I was sitting on TRXC for quite some time before it decided to really wake up and get going. Same thing with Bohr. You guys know I'm in Bohr, and you know that it's been taking its time to getting to where I want it to be. But this is what you have to do. Sometimes you just have to sit and wait, and you have to be patient, and you have to weather the storm. So with that being said, guys, you know, we have obviously the weekly update. I'm going to come out to you guys on Friday. That is my birthday, so I am very excited. I did set up a Patreon account. I'm leaving this to the end just because it's kind of new. I am working on it. Essentially, there's 3 tiers, and they go over there's a whole welcome message in there. I don't want to waste too much time on this video with it. But I'm not monetizing my YouTube channel. I'm just going to do the Patreon, and we're going to go from there. So with that being said, join the Discord, obviously, guys. You know, you got to be in that Discord. That's where everybody is. That's where a lot of people talk about TRXC, ASXC. Friday is also the name change. Let's look forward to that. And I think that we're going to have a good rest of our week. You know, let's try to, you know, finish the week strong. So far, the week is looking pretty good, you know, pretty good. I think the week is still looking very good, and I think that we have a lot to go forward with. So with that being said, guys, have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you Friday. All right? Bye-bye.